things. An egg lay in the path. The boy came down the path. He saw the egg. He looked around. He saw flamingos and frogs and turtles and alligators. Whose egg is this? He called, but nobody answered. Then the boy looked up. He saw the empty nest in a tree. Here's an egg without a nest, he said, and there's a nest without an egg. The boy climbed the tree. He put the egg in the nest. Then he went away. Mr. and Mrs. Bird came home. They were surprised to find an egg in the nest. That's not our egg, said Mrs. Bird. Look how big it is. But an egg is an egg, and it is our nest, said Mr. Bird. And if an egg is in your nest, you sit on it and keep it warm. It doesn't matter whose egg it is. All right, said Mrs. Bird, but I wonder what kind of bird will come out of that egg. They took turns keeping the egg warm. First Mrs. Bird sat on it, then Mr. Bird sat on it. And sometimes, because it was so big, they both sat on it. One day Mrs. Bird heard the squeaking noise. Help, she said. The egg is squeaking. Mr. Bird came back to the nest. He listened to the egg. The egg is not squeaking, he said. It is our baby that is squeaking. He is ready to come out of the egg. Mr. Bird and Mrs. Bird waited.
Stop scratching.
Squeak, 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 squeaks. Squeak, scratch. And there was the baby. Mr. Bird it's Junior, was very excited. It's Junior, he shouted. What a beautiful day. Junior opened his mouth. It was a big mouth. It was full of teeth. That's the funniest looking baby I've ever saw. And Mrs. Bird, something is wrong. I don't think he's our baby at all. He's in our nest, so he must be ours, said Mr. Bird. And his mouth is open, and that means he is hungry. When your baby is hungry, you feed him. And Mr. and Mrs. Bird went away to get some food for Junior. Mr. Bird brought a pink one. Mrs. Bird brought a green one. Junior ate both worms in one gulp. Then he opened his mouth wide again. We have to get Junior lots more to eat, said Mr. and Mrs. Bird. And hour after hour, day after day, they brought food for Junior. Mrs. Bird got berries and cherries. She got dragonflies and mosquitoes. And she got butter, their flies, and caterpillars. She got ladybugs and tiger beetles. Mr. Bird got crickets and spiders. He got red ants. He got black ants. He got grasshoppers and snails. He got caterpillars too. Centipedes too. What kind of bird eats so much? Says Mrs. Bird. And said Mrs. Bird, it doesn't matter. Mr. Bird, he is still hungry and we have to feed him. Weeks went by. Junior never stopped eating, and he never stopped growing. He grew bigger and bigger and bigger. Finally, Junior got so big that Mrs. Bird said, "It's too crowded up here. Junior has to leave the nest. It's time for him to fly away." "You're right. You are right," said Mrs. Bird. "The time has come. We must show him how to fly." Mrs. Bird pushed and pushed. Mr. Bird showed Junior how to fly. "Jump into the air like this," he said. "Then flap your wings." Junior got ready. He took a big breath and jumped up, up, up. Into the air he went. "Flap your wings," yelled Mrs. Bird. "Flap your wings," yelled Mr. Bird. Junior flapped and flapped, but it didn't do any good. He didn't have wings. Down, down, down went Junior. Down into the water. Splash! It was cool and wet in the water. It was just right for Junior. "You know," said Mrs. Bird, "I don't think Junior is a bird at all." "It doesn't matter," Mr. Bird said. "He's happy now. And just look at him swim."